everybody, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. My name is Dawn Block. I'm your host. I'm a local realtor in the Schaumburg area, servicing Schaumburg, the northwest suburbs, and I'll do the northwest side of Chicago, but don't ask me to go downtown. But I've been doing this for 37 years, and I have just started doing, not just started. I've been doing Meet the Expert on the Block episodes because I like introducing new business owners, new businesses to see what's out there. You get to know the personality of the person I'm talking to, and a little bit in depth kind of research and search of what this person does and how they do it. And I think it can help a lot of people too. So that's why I do it, and it exposes them to a whole bunch of other people. So, and I enjoy doing it. That's the best part. I enjoy sitting down with all these businesses too. So what I do is before I introduce our special guest, I do some housekeeping items. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the upper left-hand corner. I probably put it up a little bit soon, but I'm going to have it up here. It's a QR code to go to the website for my special guest. Plus also, hold on. We had a problem. What happened? My LinkedIn didn't go on. Trouble with LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're out there, I'm really sorry. For some reason, it did not go through, and I have no idea why. But what we can do is I will put out the replay out there for everybody to see. That's the second time that's happened or actually, it's been a while since that's happened to me. But wait a second. We have some people here. Chris Black. He says, looking forward to the show. And let me know. She's on Facebook. Oh, well, welcome, Chris. I'm glad you're able to join us. So let me get back to my housekeeping items so we can introduce our special guest. But like I said, this is something I like to do. So if you see this and you like it, please pass this along to your friends, forward it over, share it, like it, show us some hearts, and also interact with our special guest. If you have any questions, just like Chris did in the comments of the feed, just put your comment in there and I'll be able to share it with everybody. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get stream on LinkedIn. Don't ask me why, and I do apologize for that. But what I would like to do is I'm going to also have my special guest information running on the bottom of the screen so that if you want to jot that down, get in touch with my special guest, you definitely should do that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut up and I'm going to introduce my special guest. So Joel Loredo, he is with Next Level Insurance. Joel, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Meet the Expert on the Block.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Don. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, so am I. It's a lot of great information that we're going to be going through. Joel, if you wouldn't mind, just so people can know, a little bit of, tell people about how they can get in touch with you.
So easiest way to get in touch with me would be through email. It is joel.l@nlinsagency.com. That is by far the easiest. You can also call in the office. It's 630-912-7689. And you can get a hold of me through there as well.
Awesome. So can you just let us know? I mean, I know everybody's got a story of what they were doing prior to being in the job that they are right now. So if you wouldn't mind sharing us, dig deep, and let us know a little bit about what you were doing before you started your job at Next Level Insurance.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Elgin, Illinois. Lived there, pretty much my whole life. Went to Elgin High School, went to Elgin Community College, and then ended up going to Columbia College. Loved growing up there. I just think it's a great, it's not a big city, but it's not a little town. It was kind of just right. So I really had a good childhood growing up. Was always involved in sports, loved playing all different kinds of sports, really, really loved baseball. Played that for a very, very long time until I couldn't. So, but I was always involved in sports, always a pretty competitive kid, tried to always, compete in some way, whether it was sports or, even, something as, dumb as trying to see who could clean up their room faster or do their chores done quicker, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I was just always a competitive person by nature.
So what was your pivotal moment when you were like, aha, okay, I'm ready to get into the insurance business and also be in the company that I am right now?
Well, so I think right out of college, my very first job, I call it my very first grown-up job, was in the insurance industry. I was doing life and health insurance. So I didn't really, I would say I sort of just fell into it because I couldn't find another job. So it was just one of those things where I started doing it, had a little bit of success on the front end, was still very young. And looking back on it, I was just really immature, didn't really, take it as serious. From there, I kind of just bounced around and tried to, find something that, I thought I would like, or, just try to find my way around. And, I think you would know, like, once you get married and you have kids and you have responsibilities, and it's just like, okay, I got to figure something out here. I got to have a career here, or it's going to be a rough go of it. So, I was always in different sales roles. For whatever reason, I just kind of always fell into sales. And I admittedly was not good at it. But I would say, like, the aha moment was at the time I was working for an exterior remodeling company. I was doing in-home sales for like windows and siding and roofing and all that. I wasn't good at it, but again, I just really wasn't. If I could be honest with myself, I wasn't bought into the company or the products that I was selling. And I came across this book by Grant Cardone called Sell or Be Sold. And if you're in a sales profession in any industry, I would highly recommend reading it. I got a lot of good points out of it. But that sort of changed my perspective on sales as a career and as a profession. And it was there where I sort of kind of took initiative to be like, well, I'm going to do sales. I'm going to do it the best of my ability, and I'm going to find a way where I can get into it. And insurance sort of just kept popping up because it's one of those things that is needed by pretty much everybody, right? Like, everybody, no matter what you do, requires some sort of insurance. So I wanted to try to get into the insurance sector again, and had different companies that I was applying to, reaching out to. I just couldn't get a follow-up on a lot of them. And one day I saw a post for Liberty Mutual Insurance was hiring a sales rep. It was pretty close to my house. So immediately what I did, just to make sure that I, was insured an interview, I researched on LinkedIn, found out who the hiring manager was for that specific branch, reached out to her, got an email, a couple hours later, had a phone call interview later that afternoon. And long story short, like a week later, I was offered a job there at Liberty Mutual Insurance. And that's where I call it the professional insurance career started for me, was there at that company.
Well, your persistence paid off. You learned that in sales, right?
I did learn that. Yeah. Relentless follow-up. That's what it was.
Exactly. So break down the insurance products you sell.
So at Next Level, we are a full service independent insurance agency. Our focus primarily is on the personal lines, right? So that's your homeowners, your auto, motorcycle, boats, ATVs, life insurance. That's a big one. But we can also do commercial insurance. So it's apartment buildings, homeowners associations, liability insurance for businesses, workman's comp, commercial auto, commercial umbrella policies. So, we really are a full service agency, and we're really blessed to be able to work with great partner carriers. We have 22 carriers in our panel that we can shop with. So I like to tell folks, like, we pretty much have a solution or an option for almost everybody. It's just a matter of making sure that we link up the customer with the right company. But yeah, we're pretty fortunate to have a lot of great partners that we work with.
So why do we need insurance? Why? Why do we got to spend our money on insurance?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I probably hear it a couple times a week, is just like, insurance is a scam. Like, I don't even know why I'm paying for all this. But the fact of the matter is, first and foremost, it's the law in most cases, right? Like, if you have a mortgage on your house, or if you're leasing a car, or you have a loan on a car, you need that. It's part of your, the requirement that you make with that lending institution or with that leasing institution, that you have to carry insurance on that, on that car or on that house. So that's for one. Like, you have to have it. It's the law. Number two is, it protects you, right? The homeowner, the car owner, from liability exposure, right? So, things that could come up, like you having to pay out, or if somebody trips and falls and breaks a bone on your property, or if you're driving and you accidentally hit somebody and cause damage to their car, or even worse, to them, you need that insurance, because a lot of times those things can get pretty costly, and the insurance is going to cover the things that you really can't afford to pay out of pocket. And that's what I always stress to people. Insurance is there to cover and protect the things that you really can't afford to pay, or not really willing to pay out of pocket. Let the insurance company pay for it. You pay for the small little things.
So if somebody's looking for insurance, what do you need to know?
Well, I've seen the saying that, and it can go for any number of things out there, but good insurance isn't cheap, and cheap insurance isn't good, right? So don't shop solely on price. And I get it. Like, I'm a consumer too. I'm always trying to make sure I'm getting the best value for my buck. But just because you're finding the cheapest thing out there to insure your car or insure your house, like, it doesn't mean it's the best thing, right? You want to make sure that it's adequate, that, well, for one, that you're working with a really good company, but you also have the right coverage. And I know that shopping online is a big thing for us, like, as consumers and as a society. Like,
Yeah.
we're always using Google, or we're always like on Amazon or something, reading, like, trying to figure out how to do it ourselves. But really, using an insurance agent is so valuable, because, when you have an issue with your car, you take it to a mechanic. When you're not feeling good, you go to the doctor, right? Like, utilize those, those professional agents that are in it day in and day out, and can help walk you through what the best option would be for you. Because insurance, unfortunately, is not a one size fits all, right? Like, there's different types. So you just need to make sure that you're working with a professional that understands your needs, and that can guide you to the right option for you. Because, again, everybody's different. It's not all the same when it comes to insurance.
And insurance can be very confusing. So having that guidance definitely helps you out. I mean, it does mean a lot. And like you said, when you're online, you're not talking to the person. That person's not getting to know your situation to guide you the right way. So what does it mean when you talk about coverage?
Well, so, and I'll use home insurance as an example, right?
Okay.
The coverages is basically what makes up the insurance policy, right? Or the different things. So on the when we're talking homeowners insurance, right? Or I guess I can get in a little bit deeper on that. With homeowners insurance, there's different types of policies you can have, right? Like, do you own a single family home? Do you own a condo? Do you own a townhouse? Like, that's gonna dictate what type of insurance coverage you need to protect your property properly. So, first thing that you're going to see on your policy is different coverages, and it'll be coverage A, coverage B, or like different line items. But primarily, the main thing is your dwelling coverage, right? Or that specifically is what is protecting your house, or your townhome, or your condo, and that is essentially what the insurance company is going to cover the house if it, God forbid, if it is completely lost, whether that's a tornado or a fire or whatever. But that's what the insurance company will cover. And then there's different coverages that fall under that. You have again, on a home insurance policy, you have other structures, right? Now, a lot of people think, Well, other structures is a detached garage, right? And I'll get some people that ask me, do I even need other structures? I don't have a detached garage. Well, do you have a freestanding deck or an above ground pool? Or maybe you have like a patio that's in the middle of the yard that has a really nice stone fireplace, or you have a gazebo, or all these different things that you don't really think about, but that that would fall under your other coverages on your homeowner's insurance, and you want to make sure those things are properly covered as well.
When you said that, I would not, being a realtor, you look at everything that's included in the home. I would not think that there'd be separate insurances or separate coverages for the different things of your house. Like I didn't think a fire pit would need anything for a fire pit. I mean, it's just a fire pit in the backyard,
Yeah, those stone fire pits can get expensive. If you get somebody out there to do some really nice stonework out there, and storm comes along, and I don't know, the thing, a tree falls on it or something, like that's another structure that could be a couple $1,000s worth of damages just on something like again, like a fire pit or a freestanding deck that's off to the or a gazebo, those sort of things. So you want to make sure that those things are accounted for.
So what is the liability portion of of the insurance, and what does that mean?
So again, the liability, that's going to protect you, the homeowner, the insurance, the named insured, from any sort of financial liability, right? So the most common one, obviously, is somebody hurts themselves on your property, and you're responsible to cover the medical costs for that. It could also be a dog bite. It's probably a little more common. You're walking your dog, and dog, for whatever reason, bites somebody, and that person wants to sue you because they need to go to the hospital and get stitches. So essentially the liability protects you, the homeowner, from any sort of lawsuits. That also includes your legal defense. If it's something pretty serious where attorneys have to get involved and sort all that stuff out. But really, it's just protecting you and your assets from making sure that you're not out there and exposed to potentially losing equity in your house or your savings or your retirement, or just any sort of assets that you have. That's what the liability is there for.
So what is the cost factor?
Well, it would actually surprise a lot of folks. There's not much difference in just adding a little bit more liability coverage, right? Like typically what you see in Illinois is at least 100,000 in liability protection. I generally like to recommend at least 300,000 for most folks. But if there's instances where somebody maybe has a little bit higher liability exposure, right? Like again, if you have a big dog, the big dog bites somebody, that could be a pretty serious injury. It could be costly. If you have a pool, if you have a trampoline, again, the fire pit, those are all higher liability exposures. And if you have those, it might behoove you to increase that to 500,000 or even $1 million in coverage. And the cost associated with it, in most cases, it's not that much. It could be a difference of maybe 40, 50, $60 a year just to go from 300 to 500,000, or from 500,000 to $1 million. Everyone's insurance history is different, but generally speaking, it's not that much to get a couple $100,000 more in coverage. And people are often surprised, when they see like, oh, it's only going to cost an extra, $10 a month to go a little bit higher. Yeah, why not? Might as well just increase that a little bit just for the peace of mind.
So what is a deductible?
The deductible is the amount of money that the insurance holder is responsible to pay in the event that they have to file a claim, right? It's that out-of-pocket exposure. So typically, you file a claim, the insurance company pays, whatever the cost is to make that repair, and you, the homeowner or the car owner, you're responsible to pay that deductible, right? And that deductible is going to be based on what you set it, and what, hopefully what your insurance agent recommended you put on your policy for, for that home or that car.
So why do you want a higher deductible?
Well, the higher deductible is going to give you a lower premium, right? So if you, as the homeowner, are willing to accept a little bit more risk by paying a little bit more out of pocket, potentially, the insurance company won't charge you as much for your insurance premium for that year, right? And vice versa, if you want a lower deductible, you're going to be paying a little bit more for that insurance policy. But the deductible, again, the higher, besides the cost savings on that, the higher deductible will also give you an opportunity to not have to file small claims. And what we've seen a lot in the industry is a lot of little claims being filed for things that, maybe you didn't even need to file a claim for, and those little claims can, unfortunately, they can hurt you, to the extent of, rate increases every year, or in some cases being dropped from your insurance. So, it's well, we just tell folks, we don't really see the low deductibles anymore. Gone are the days of having a $100 deductible on your auto insurance for your comprehensive or collision, right? You're seeing more $500 or even, $1,000, on the auto, and on the homeowner's insurance, 5 years ago, if I saw a $5,000 or a $10,000 deductible on a home policy, I would think like, wow, that's pretty high. That's not so much the case anymore. It's pretty common that we're seeing these higher deductibles. And again, like I said, it's just, I think people are starting to get a little bit more accepting of paying a little bit out of pocket, for that, but just knowing that it's not worth the hassle sometimes to file a claim for something that you can probably pay a couple $1,000 just to fix yourself or have somebody fix for you.
Well, that's true. What is an endorsement?
So the endorsement is an optional coverage that you can put onto a policy. It's something that is not automatically put on there. It's just something that you're going to have to add on there. It could be insuring a expensive piece of jewelry, right? Like a jewelry rider. It could be water backup coverage. It could be utility line coverage. Like those things are they're things that aren't come a standard on a policy. And if you want to make sure they're covered, you need to add them on there, because the insurance company is not gonna add it on there for you.
So what's the most popular one that you see as far as an endorsement?
By far, it's water backup coverage.
So water backup coverage, like the drain backup or sump pump?
Exactly. Yep. Sump pump backup failure, a drain, whether that's the sewer drain, but it can also be your toilet that might get backed up. Okay. It could be a sink that gets backed up. Like those are things that aren't covered under a standard policy if you don't have that water backup coverage. And you get water in the basement, and you don't have that coverage, you could be coming out, especially if it's a finished basement, you're paying a couple $1,000s to get that water out, get the floors fixed, get the drywall fixed, get, hopefully not have any mold or anything in there. So all that is covered under your water backup coverage.
So what if we're talking sewer, but what if you have a well, a well and septic? Is that the same thing, or is that something different?
So yeah, so the line itself, right? Like if it's, and I should preface this, if it's wear and tear, like if it's been there for 30, 40 years and it really hasn't been maintained, that's where an insurance company will probably not cover that, because that's just, proper maintenance of those things need to be done by the homeowner, and maintenance is never covered under insurance. It doesn't matter if it's on your car or your house. Maintenance, if it's an issue that has clearly been going on for a while, that's not going to be covered. But your water and your septic, your sewer and your septic is covered under your insurance if there's a situation where there's damage from a fire or storm damage or things like that. But and that's covered under your other structures coverage. But the actual if like a pipe bursts, or there's like a root, I should say, if a root comes in and breaks the pipe like that, that's not covered. Your other utility lines, like your gas, your sewer, your electrical lines, that if they're buried underground,
Right.
That's not covered unless you have a service line endorsement, or some companies call
Really?
it a utility line. You can add that on there, and those things would be covered if you have that endorsement. If you don't, you're kind of out of luck there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you need to file a claim?
Well,
Or what do you do? What do you do now? Why? You had a problem. We're talking about what do you do when you file a claim? Like if something happens, what should you do first?
What I always tell my clients is, if you think you have to file a claim, give me a call first, if at all possible. I know there's instances where you can't, but always call us first, because we may be able to decipher if it's a situation where you even need to file a claim, because sometimes you don't need to file a claim. And I get it. Like, a lot of times we just think like, I pay for insurance, I have insurance, I just got in an accident, I got to call them right now and file a claim. Well, from calling your agent, right, or calling me, we can figure out, after we make sure you're okay, what happened. If we're using auto as an example, like, was it your fault? If it wasn't your fault, then we're not even calling the insurance company. You got to get the information from the other driver, and we're going to put it through their insurance company. Hopefully they have a good insurance company, because I run into that issue. But hopefully they have a good insurance company, and they'll be able to figure out on, getting your car fixed and all that stuff. But again, if it was your fault, if you hit something, can you drive the car? If you can't drive it, then we got to get it towed somewhere, get it checked out. But if you can, what I always tell folks, again, whether it's a car or a homeowner's, have a professional take a look at the damage, right? Whether it's a mechanic or a body shop or a roofer or an HVAC, like, take a look at what's going on and have them give you an estimate on what it would cost to fix. Because, using the homeowner's example, if you have a $2,500 deductible and you have some water damage from a leaky pipe, right? And they say, well, yeah, we can fix it for $800, $900, even if let's say it's $2,000, right? Like, there's no point in filing the claim. You're just going to you're going to have that ding on your insurance history. And come renewal time, you could potentially face a rate increase because you had that claim, whether they paid out or not. Even if you just filed a claim, you're running the risk of increasing that premium. And what I've seen in the past is you have, maybe somebody that filed little claims over the course of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They had a $1,000 claim here, they had a $700 claim here, they opened a claim and nothing ever got paid out, right? Like that sort of thing. And then come renewal time, the insurance company's looking at it and they're like, you filed, 3, 4, 5 claims here in the last couple of years. We kind of see you as a high risk. We're just not going to renew you. Now you got to go shop and hopefully find somewhere that can insure you after you filed all the claims. So always just call your insurance agent, call me, and we'll walk you through the process on if you actually need to file the claim or not.
Yeah. So, and remember, I've got that QR code up there. You can scan it and go visit the website. And we've got Joel's information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So if you have any questions, you can give Joel a call directly. So what is one of the most common claims that have been called in?
Definitely auto crashes. Somebody got hit, or somebody gets hit by somebody. That's definitely the most common one. On the home side, it's usually storm damage. You get the call that there was a bad storm that rolled through. I think I may have had damage to my house. I don't know if I need a new roof or whatever. But those are by far the most common calls that I get.
So I take it, did you get hit when that bad storm came in? What was it? Last week, was it?
I think it was earlier this week.
Maybe
I don't know. And like down south near like the Kankakee area, as I understand, actually had a tornado hit. So had a couple of customers that had some damage there. Thankfully, nobody lost their house or anything like that. But definitely some banged up cars and some broken windows and
well, did you see the size of the hail on that?
The guy, one of my clients sent me a picture. It was like a almost the size of a baseball.
Yes, I
And
was
his
like, oh my
his
God.
car looked like somebody literally was just chucking baseballs at his truck.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
the damage that was caused by the hail.
That was horrific. I mean,
Yeah.
just looking at the news and seeing, I just scrolling through Facebook, I was like, oh my God. I mean, and I was like, I couldn't even imagine the hail being that big either.
Yeah.
It was like, geez. Now when you look outside, it's like, thank God all the snow is melted. I'm like, it's sunny outside right now.
Hopefully it stays that way.
Yes, I hope so. Yeah, please do. Please do. But so I'm gonna see if we have anybody commenting right now. I know I do apologize again about LinkedIn playing tricks on me, but what we will do is I will get the recording on LinkedIn, after this, and for anybody that is looking, maybe not, or just joining us, or haven't seen the whole interview with Joel, you can come back. It's on live. You can watch it from beginning to end, and we appreciate everybody coming on. But are there any final comments you can give everybody? It's like something that would be a lesson learned, like something for people to look out for, or just like a nice takeaway that people can walk away from this interview.
Kind of like I said earlier, good insurance isn't cheap and cheap insurance isn't good. So don't get caught up on shopping everything just because it's the cheapest thing out there. Give me a call. I'm happy to go over the policy that you have, happy to give my input on it, and just kind of see if we can walk you through maximizing the value that you have on your insurance policy with, getting the right coverage and not breaking the bank on it.
Great. That's great information. And Joe, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I'm sorry about the glitch on LinkedIn, but we'll get this back. I will post it again and get this out there on LinkedIn for you so everybody can see it. But I really appreciate you doing this, because insurance is not something that everybody likes to talk about. It's like it's taboo, it's like, I'd rather not even deal with it.
Boring. You can say it. It's boring. It's not exciting.
But you made it very entertaining for us. Thank you so much. So, but I appreciate you being on this episode of Meet the Expert on the Block.
Thank you very much for having me, Dawn. I appreciate it.
Could you do one thing for me, please, if you would not mind? Just repeat your contact information. I know it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen, but if you would, please, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, you can call the office, 630-912-7689. You can also email me directly, Joel, it's joel.l@nlinsagency.com.
And there's the QR code it's in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, so that will get you directly to Joel's office's website. But again, you know what? I enjoy doing these interviews. And Joel, again, thank you for being on this episode of Meet the Expert on the Block. So just to put it out there, I don't have anything planned yet for a next Meet the Expert on the Block. So if you're interested and you're somebody out there that would like to get your word out for everybody to hear, it's just a simple phone call to me. My number is 847-630-2121. We sit down. I tell you how I do it. Joel, was it easy?
Super easy, super fun.
See, so if you'd like to be on Meet the Expert on the Block episode, just feel free to give me a call. But because I got to get somebody on for April. I have somebody in mind, but I'm not going to say who. So until we meet next time, I want to thank everybody for joining me on this episode. Thank you, Joel, and everybody. Make it a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.